All right, let's dive into an absolutely epic tale. We're talking about incredible power, a life-altering purpose, and a kind of devotion you just don't see every day. This is the celestial odyssey of Hanuman. So what does happen when a child is born with the power of a god? I mean, think about it. It's one thing to acquire great power, right? But to just be born with it. That's the real question at the heart of Hanuman's story, and it all kicks off with an incredible act of faith.
Okay, so to really get who Hanuman is, you have to go right back to the beginning. Let's talk about his, well, truly divine origin.
You see, long ago, there was this devoted woman named Anjana, and she wasn't just hoping for a child. No, her prayers were constant. They were deep. She was asking for a son who is meant for something more, someone destined to serve a truly divine purpose.
And you know what? Her prayers were heard. The wind god himself, Vayu, was so moved by her devotion that he gave her this incredible blessing. He didn't just give her a son. He gifted this child his own essence. We're talking his strength, his speed, even the very life force he commands. Wow.
And just like that, Hanuman was born. And let me tell you, from his very first breath, he was extraordinary. This wasn't some power he had to learn or grow into. No, he was literally radiating it. As a baby, he already had godlike strength and this incredible divine intelligence. You just knew his life was going to be something else. So that brings us to the next part of his story, power and, well, consequence. Because what happens when a kid has all this unlimited power, but none of the wisdom to actually control it? Yeah, the results can get a little dramatic. Okay, picture this. One morning, little Hanuman looks up at the sky, but through his innocent toddler eyes, he doesn't see a massive ball of burning gas, the sun. Nope. To him, it looked just like a big, ripe, delicious fruit, hanging there for the taking. And what happens next is just pure cosmic chaos. So first, acting on that kid impulse, he literally leaps into the sky to go grab the sun. This, of course, shakes up the heavens, so Indra, the king of the gods, strikes him down with his thunderbolt. But then, and this is where it gets crazy, Hanuman's father, Vayu, sees his son fall and gets so enraged that he sucks all the air out of the world. Just gone. Life comes to a terrifying stop. So to fix this whole mess, the other gods have to step in. They bring Hanuman back, and to top it all off, they bless him with even more insane powers and make him practically immortal. But here's the thing, right? He's still just a kid. And with all this power, he got, well, mischievous. He wasn't being mean or anything, but his pranks were on a whole other level. Disrupting the meditations of these super wise sages, causing all sorts of divine-level chaos. It was a problem. So this was the ultimate lesson, wasn't it? The difference between having power and having the wisdom to actually use it. To teach him some humility, the sages put a gentle curse on him. It wasn't meant to be a punishment, more like a lesson in control. The deal was Hanuman would forget just how powerful he was. He'd live his life thinking he was ordinary, with no idea of his true potential, until, one day, someone came along to remind him.
And believe me, that day was definitely coming. Forgetting his power actually set the stage for the single most important moment of his entire life, which brings us to our next section, a purpose found.
So years go by. Hanuman grows up, and he's humbled, totally unaware of the incredible power just sitting dormant inside him. And then he meets Lord Rama. And in that one moment, bam, everything changed. His entire world, his whole reason for being, it just shifted forever. I mean, the transformation was just absolute. It was like night and day. Before Rama, you had this forgotten power, this playful but kind of directionless energy. But after meeting Rama, that power was awakened. That energy got channeled into this intense, focused devotion. And for the first time, his life had a clear, undeniable purpose. This was it. This was his calling. From that day on, every single ounce of his incredible strength, his speed, his intelligence, it was all dedicated to one thing and one thing only: serving Rama. He became the ultimate symbol of selfless service and loyalty that never, ever wavers. And that brings us to his lasting legacy. Because Hanuman's story, it's so much more than just an old myth, He's a living symbol, and his story still holds this incredibly profound meaning for millions of people today. You see, the celebration of his birth, Hanuman Janamotsav, it's really about celebrating these big ideas. It's a reminder that true strength needs humility,
that real power finds its best use when it's guided by devotion to something bigger than yourself, and that faith can be a force that overcomes absolutely anything.
And that's really why, all these centuries later, his story is still so powerful. He isn't just some character in an epic story. For millions of people, he is a living, breathing symbol of courage. Chanting his name as a way to find strength, to ask for protection when things get tough. So in the end, Hanuman's whole incredible journey leaves us with a pretty big question. Look, we all have our own kind of power, right? Our talents, our skills, our influence. The real question his story asks us is, what's guiding your power? Is it just impulse? Or is it something deeper, a real, meaningful purpose?